All right, this is chapter 6, lesson 6, and we're going to talk about simple and compound interest. So the first thing we're going to talk about is actually simple interest. Simple interest has a really easy formula to use. It's basically multiplying the interest, the time, and the principal. That's all it is, okay? So compound interest is a little bit more complicated. Compound, complicated, get it? Okay, so we're actually going to talk about simple interest first. So blank is the amount of money deposited or borrowed, and blank blank is the amount paid or earned for the use of money. So in those two blanks, provided the board likes to cooperate with me, you're going to put principal and simple interest. So principal is the amount of money that's deposited or borrowed. So that's actually what you're borrowing from the bank or from a company, things like that. That's the principal, so the amount that you're borrowing. Okay, or the amount that you're really even loaning to someone, that's the principal amount. Okay. Simple interest is the amount paid or earned for the use of the money. So, like for example, in a bank situation, you borrowed money from the bank, and then they're going to charge you an interest rate. So on top of the principal that you have to pay back to them, you're also paying an interest rate back to them as well. Okay? All right, so like it says over here, if you borrow money from a bank, you pay the bank interest for the use of their money. You also pay interest to a credit card company if you have an unpaid balance. You're using the formula I equals P times R times T to find the amount of interest owed. So in words, simple interest, I, is the product remember means multiplication, of the principal P, the annual interest rate R, and the time T expressed in years, okay? So, one thing, very important, time is in years, not months, not days, it's in years, it's always in years. So, for example, if you have an interest loan that's 6 months, when you multiply this, you would do 6 over 12 because there's 12 months in a year, okay? So let's take a look at an example. The first example says Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. The account pays 3% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in each amount of time? So the first one they want is 5 years. Okay, so down here, see, $580, that's the principal amount. 3% is the simple interest. And then I want to know how much he'll earn in 5 years. So $580 is the principal. That's the amount that I paid, put in, times 3%, which I changed to a decimal, times 5. Okay? Multiplied all that together and got $87. So he'll earn $87 in interest in 5 years. Okay. The other one is 6 months. So again, same principal, same interest, different time. Okay, so I have $580, that's the principal amount that he's paid. 3% interest over 6 months, or 6 over 12. Remember, our time has to be in years. Okay, so 6/12, if I change that to a decimal, it's 0.5. You can also use a fraction. Okay, when I multiply it together, I get 8.7. So Arnold will earn $8.70 in 6 months. All right, so the next problem we're going to look at is talking about Derek's dad. So Derek's dad is buying tires for $900. I know it says $9,000 on your notes. It should be $900. Okay, otherwise those are very expensive tires. $9,000 is a lot of money. Okay, $900 for tires is still expensive, but that's more realistic. So $900 using a credit card. His card has an interest rate of 19%. That's very typical of a credit card. Credit cards generally have higher interest rates. Okay. If he has no other charges on his card and does not make a payment, how much money will he owe after 1 month? So we first need to figure out, we have the principal, $900. Our interest rate is 19%, which we're going to change to a decimal. And our time, T, is 1 month. Remember, we said months, don't work with interest rates. We need to do it in years. So there are 12 months in a year, so 1 over 12 would be our time. Okay, so when we do this, we do 900 times 0.19, remember we changed 19% to a decimal, times 1/12, which gives us $14.25. So if he doesn't make any payments on it, the interest rate after a month will be $14.25. So he'll pay the $900 plus the $14.25. So the total amount he owes would be $914.25. Okay. All right, there is a try problem on this page. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try it out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answer together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problem, let's go over the answer together. So for this one, we're actually talking about Jenny. Okay, so Jenny puts $1,560 into a savings account. The account pays 2.5% simple interest. How much interest will she earn in 3 years? So, okay, I know my principal. Remember, our formula is P times R times T. So I know my principal is $1,560. My interest rate is 2.5%, which I'm going to change to a decimal, which is 0.025. And then time, she wants 3 years. I don't have to do anything else with that. So then I'm going to multiply these together. So when I multiply them together, 1,560 times 0.025 times 3. Gives me 117. So in 3 years, she'll earn $117 in interest. All right, the second problem talks about Mrs. Hanover. She's borrowing $1,400 at a rate of 5.5% per year. How much simple interest will she pay if it takes 8 months to repay the loan? So first thing we want to remember is the formula, P times R times T, my principal times my rate times my time. Okay? Remember my time's in years, so I need to write 8 in forms of years. So right now it's in months, so I have to write it in years. So when I do this, I equals P times R times T. So I equals my principal of $1,400 times my interest rate, which I changed to a decimal, times my time, which is 8 months, so 8 over 12. Okay, so when I multiply that together, 1,400 times 0.055 times 8/12 is $51.33. So that's how much interest she will pay if it takes 8 months for her to repay the loan, $51.33. Okay, you can kind of start to see how these things are adding up over time. All right, so like we talked about at the very beginning of this lesson, we first talked about simple interest, and now we're going to talk about compound interest. So simple interest, remember, is a very easy formula. It's just the 3 numbers that you're multiplying together, the principal, the rate, and the time. Compound interest is more complicated than that, because basically the idea of compound interest is you're taking the interest you earned after 1 month or 1 year, and then you're adding that to the principal amount, and then you're taking the interest of that new amount, okay? It's great when it works for you. It's not so great when it doesn't work for you, okay? So it's really great when it's in a bank and your money is doing a compound interest in the bank, because then the bank's paying you interest. Not so great when it's a credit card, okay? Because then you're just adding more payments on, more money that you owe them. Okay, so we're talking about compound interest. Blank blank is paid on the initial principal and on interest earned in the past. So in that blank, you're going to write compound interest. So compound interest is interest paid on the initial principal and on interest earned in the past. Okay? So the formula for compound interest, there's actually two ways to do this. You can either use the formula, which I'm going to show you, or you can do principal times, you can do the same simple interest formula, add it to the same formula again. Okay, it gets a little bit more complicated. If you know the formula, great. If you don't know the formula, there is another way to do it. So, the compound interest formula, you take the amount, that's the n that you're going to pay, okay, times the principal, times 1 plus r, the interest rate, over n, the number of times the interest is compounded per unit of t. Okay, so usually it's annually, which is 1, biannually, which is 2, quarterly, which is 4, monthly, which is 12. Okay? And then n, so that same number times your amount of time, t. Okay? Okay. So let's take a look at an example. So this is without using the formula. This example is without using the formula, using the simple interest formula. Okay, so what is the total amount of money in an account where $600 is invested at an interest rate of 8.75%, compounded annually for 2 years? Find the amount of money in the account at the end of the first year. So again, I equals PRT, 600 times my interest rate, which is 0.0875 times 1. Okay, so that's for 1 year. Okay. I get $52.05, so I add that to my principal, so I get $652.50. So at the end of the first year, there's $652.50 in the account. Okay. The second year, I take $652.50 times my principal, or times my interest rate, times my time. Okay. That gives me $57.09, so I add that to my new principal, which is $652.50, plus $57.09, or $700.59. Okay. That is one way to do it. The second way to do it is using the formula. Okay. So my formula is A equals P 1 plus Rn over R over N times NT. Okay? So P is my principal. So P in this example is $600. Okay? R is the rate, which is 8.75%. Compounded annually, so that means 1 time per year, so N is 1, and then T is going to be 2 years, okay? So I do 600 times 1 plus 0.0875 over 1 raised to the 1 times 2 power, okay? So when I do this, gives me $709.59. So again, if you know the formula, great. It makes your life a little bit easier. Otherwise, you need to use the simple interest formula and compound annually, okay, a couple of times. All right, there are a couple of try problems below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problem, let's go over the answers together. So for letter A, what is the total amount of money in an account where $5,000 is invested at an interest rate of 5% compounded annually after 3 years? So I'm going to go ahead and use the formula. So here's my formula. So we said my principal, P, was $5,000. My rate is 5%. It's compounded annually, so 1. And then my T is 3 years. So 5,000 1 plus 0.05 plus over n raised to the 1 times third power. So 5,000 times 1 plus 0.05 over 1 raised to the 1 times third power. Then go ahead and round it to the nearest cent. So $5,788.13. And that is the end of Chapter 6, Lesson 6. It's also the end of Chapter 6.